In this video, I'm going to be vibe coding with the newly released MiniMax M2.5. This was a model that released yesterday from MiniMax. You can see here, created February 12th, 2026. The context is 204,000. The input, 30 cents per million, output $1.20 per million. So an incredible model. We're going to be doing a deep dive today on the benchmarks. We're going to be putting it through my real world vibe coding workflow on production tasks for BridgeMind, and I'm going to be showing you guys how it performs on the BridgeBench, which is a newly released vibe coding benchmark that I've created that is going to be open sourced soon. But we're going to be really putting this model to the test to see how it actually performs, because as you guys know, just because a model performs well on the benchmarks does not mean that it's necessarily going to be that performant in real world scenarios. So with that being said, I do have a like goal of 200 likes on this video. If you guys have not already joined the BridgeMind Discord community, make sure you do so. This is a community of over 5,000 builders that are shipping daily using vibe coding in their workflow. These are the people that are on the frontier of the AI revolution. This is the place to be in 2026. So if you have not already joined this community, make sure you do so. There's going to be a link in the description down below. And if you haven't already liked and subscribed, make sure you do so. And with that being said, let's get right into the video. All right, so the first thing that I want to cover is the benchmarks that were provided directly by MiniMax. And what I want to draw your guys' attention to is the fact that MiniMax scored an 80.2% on SWE-Bench Verified, which is only 0.6 away from Claude Opus 4.6. So this is very impressive. They also released benchmarks on SWE-Bench Pro. It performed only 0.2 below GPT 5.2 and just about, it literally matched Claude Opus 4.6 on SWE-Bench Pro and is about 1.3% lower than Claude Opus 4.5 on SWE-Bench Pro, but very impressive here. And one thing I want to highlight as well is the jump from MiniMax M2.1 to MiniMax M2.5. MiniMax did a fantastic job because, hey, look at the difference between how much they improved the model from the M2.1 iteration to 2.5. You can see in all of these benchmarks, they just absolutely crushed it in terms of their improvement from their last model to this model. Now, the Vibe Pro, this is apparently a new benchmark, and you can see it's up there again, with these frontier models. So, that is one thing to look at these benchmarks and to say, oh, wow, this is performing 80.2% on the SWE-Bench Verified benchmark, which is a critical benchmark that I personally look to. I think it's very, very important to be able to look at this benchmark. So this is what we're seeing initially out of the benchmarks that are provided by MiniMax, but I think it's a little bit more important to also check what the benchmarks are from artificial analysis. So this is another great benchmarking tool. And here you can actually see the artificial analysis intelligence index. This is important. And what you guys see here is that it actually does not perform well on this intelligence index. It gets a 42, where GLM5 scored a 50, Opus 4.5 scored 50, and then GPT 5.2 extra high scored 51. On the coding index, this is actually, I saw this and I was like, oh wow, that's interesting. It scored 37 on the coding index. And GLM5 scored 44, and then you have some of the frontier models getting like 48 and 49. But it actually performed not that great. It performs worse than Sonnet on this coding index. So I thought that this was interesting because it performs very well on SWE-Bench Verified, but then in artificial analysis coding index, it scores low. So that's one thing to note. Now here on the agentic index, this measures the agentic capability benchmarks. It scored pretty well. So you can see GLM5 is actually the top model in this benchmark. MiniMax M2.5 falling 4 points behind Opus 4.5 and GPT 5.2. So definitely something to note there. But also one thing I always look at is the hallucination rate. So if we go down here in these benchmarks, I always look at this here. And let's actually, hold on here. GLM5 is 34%. And where is MiniMax M2.5? I don't even see it. Okay, 88%. So this thing's going to be hallucinating all over the place. So, and I actually have an example. But yeah, so high hallucination rate, 87%. But I mean, you also could make the argument that of like, okay, like a lot of these models have high hallucination rates, right? But I mean, 88%, that's pretty high. But you can see like Claude Opus 4.5 is way down here at 57%. So this model will hallucinate. But it's just interesting that, in terms of the benchmarks, to see it get 37% on this coding benchmark, and then like right here, or wait, hold on, this one here, 37, and then you look at the SWE-Bench and you're like, okay, 80.2. Something's not adding up here. So I don't know what's up with that. Let's now check speed. What are we looking at in OpenRouter? So it looks like 25 tokens per second. That's slow. I mean, the uptime is good, 99% uptime. So they did do a better job than GLM5. The uptime on GLM5 yesterday was absolutely awful. The speed was absolutely awful for GLM5. Let's even look at GLM5, and it's still not great. Look at the uptime on this model. 13 tokens per second, 12 tokens per second, 33. What's it actually at from ZAI? What are they running at GLM5? Okay, they're doing 29 tokens per second. So MiniMax M2.5, if we just actually look directly from MiniMax, so it's about on par with GLM5 speed-wise, but it's slower than Opus 4.6 and GPT models. So definitely something to note there. But with that being said, I actually want to show you guys next a really important example that I actually did yesterday on the BridgeBench. So if you want to check out the BridgeBench, I think that this is going to be a really useful tool for us to be able to test models. So I will say one thing. Let's actually zoom in a little bit. When I put MiniMax M2.5 through the BridgeBench, it performed pretty well. It scored a 59.7 on the BridgeBench, so 0.4 away from Claude Opus 4.6 in vibe coding tasks. It was able to complete 100% of the tasks. And then the cost, I mean, the cost for this model, I mean, that's obviously going to be a huge aspect of the argument to be able to use this model. You know, you can look at the context and be like, the context isn't great, but the cost, I mean, oh my gosh, this is the lowest price model on the market right now in terms of like having a frontier model that also, you know, has that good of pricing. So if you look at the BridgeBench, you'll see that it only costs 72 cents for me to actually run this through all 130 tasks in the BridgeBench. But you know, the speed 25.8 seconds, whereas, you know, Opus 4.6 was 8.3 seconds on average per task. But if you haven't checked the BridgeBench out, I would definitely suggest that you check it out. But also, one thing that I've added to the BridgeBench that I think is really going to be helpful for everyone is look at this. So there's also this creative HTML, and this will give you a visual for the model's capabilities, right? And I actually have a video. Hold on, this is a very helpful video. Let's go over here. So this is the MP4, and we're actually going to be building, in this video, we're going to use MiniMax to basically create the ability to export MP4s in that creative HTML, but we'll get into that a little bit later in the video. But for example, I put these models in the BridgeBench through this creative HTML assignment, and I want you guys, we're going to scroll back, and so we have GLM5 here, MiniMax M2.5 here, Claude Opus 4.6, and then Gemini 3 Pro. Let's just play this, and you guys are going to see something very interesting about this. And it's going to kind of bring into the context and the argument of like these models being a little bit cheap. Okay, so look at MiniMax M2.5 here. The task was to be able to create a neon open sign, and you can look at Claude Opus 4.6 here. It absolutely nails it, right? Perfect brick background, perfect neon sign, even has like effects for like the radiating light, which is insane. GLM5 like it's just crazy. Like, look at even like the font that it used for drawing open. This isn't that great, but then look at MiniMax M2.5 on this. Look at this. Look at how bad it is. And I think that this is why the BridgeBench is so important, and what other things that we're going to be doing is so important, because you can have models that are like benchmark beasts, but then in actual practice, they're like complete garbage, right? So there's all these goofy AI influencers that are hyping up these models of like MiniMax M2.5, Opus performance at, you know, a 50th of the cost, right? And it's like, that's not really the case. Look at this. It may be doing well on the benchmarks, but why in one shot did it produce this in this creative HTML assignment where Opus produced this and Gemini 3 produced this, right? And I think that that's a very, very interesting, you know, example of like, okay, it spaced out the words OBN. Like, that's not open, right? And you can see Gemini 3 Pro and Claude Opus 4.6 did amazing on this task, right? And that's like that's a good task. That's a good example, I think. Let's look at Thunderstorm over City. I'm pretty sure this actually did a pretty good job on this one. So if you guys look at the Thunderstorm over the City, it didn't do as bad on this one. It actually did a pretty good job here. So Thunderstorm over the City, I would even say that, yeah, like if you look at, let's like zoom this out a little bit just on this screen so you guys can kind of see it a little bit better. But yeah, like this did a pretty good job. GLM5 also did a good job on this one, and Opus did a good job on this one. So I really like what MiniMax did for this one, but let's look at another one. Let's look at the Aquarium fish tank. This is actually, I did see this one. So this was interesting. Look at this one. This one is like a good example. It's like all glitchy, and the fish, the way that they're swimming is like, I don't know if these fish have like they were born with you know, some special things about them, but you know, look at this. Why is this one swimming backwards? You know what I mean? It's like things like that where you look at it and it's like, okay, well, let's look at what Opus 4.6 produced, right? It's like all of the fish are swimming in the right direction. These weeds down here, the seaweed is like flowing naturally, whereas with M2.5, it's all like spazzing out and the fish are like swimming all over the place. And it's like, okay, when you see stuff like this, it kind of brings into the argument, it's like, okay, it scored an 80.2 on SWE-Bench Verified, but in actual practice, I mean, my fish are going to be swimming upside down, right? And that's the important thing to know. And I think that that's like another thing is it's like, hey, what I want to be for this community and what I want to be for, you know, this vibe coding revolution in general is I want to be somebody that people can actually go to and that's not going to be like hyping up new models. I think that there's a lot of people that create videos on the internet and they put it out on YouTube and they're just like hype, hype, hype. That's not going to be me. I'm going to be trying to do my absolute best to really put these models to the test so that you guys get a clear view of what you're going to be seeing in real world scenarios. So this is another good example. Look, this is the retro space, and you guys can see all this at BridgeMind.ai, but this is what Opus 4.6 produced, okay? This is insane. So look at this. So this is what Opus 4.6 produced for Space Invaders, right? You have insane effects. You have absolutely incredible. Like look at how good it is on the like look at down here. It's like dodging the bullets. I mean, that is insane how good this is, right? And then you look at MiniMax. I haven't even looked at this yet. How did it do? I mean, look at how bad this is. Look at the bullets. Look at the bullets. They're all like going diagonal, which, I mean, it's all right, but you can see noticeably, I mean, the score is going up, but you can see noticeably, like, why are all the aliens coming in from like the far left, right? Like even stuff like that, like weird details, like why are the bullets like so diagonal, just weird stuff like that, right? Whereas like you compare it with Opus and it's like, whoa, like this literally made like a perfect Space Invaders game, right? And I think that that's something that people need to kind of like look at the score. It's going up perfectly. There's like animations and effects. So when you look at these benchmarks and it's like, oh, well, this scored 80.2. Well, in real world practice, is this thing just a benchmark beast, or are my fish going to be swimming upside down, and is my Space Invaders game going to be like diagonal, right? So you can make the argument that for the price difference, there's going to be an argument there. This model did perform very well on the BridgeBench. So, you know, in terms of being able to complete these tasks and earn a good score, it did do exactly that. It did very well on the BridgeBench. But I think that now, with all of this, you know, these benchmark overviews, now let's actually dive in and start building a very important feature in using MiniMax to be able to solve bugs and work across the entire stack to actually build features, production features for BridgeMind to test if this is going to be a model that is going to be capable in my personal production vibe coding workflow. Let's get into it. Okay, so I now have OpenCode opened up, and what you guys can see is that I've connected MiniMax M2.5 via OpenRouter, but one thing that I do want to cover, just so that everybody knows, if you guys are a budget vibe coder, OpenCode literally offers this for free via OpenCode Zen, which is like incredible. So what I'm going to do for this vibe coding test is I'm going to use OpenCode Zen for free on the right, and we're going to use OpenRouter on the left. And the first thing that I want to do is there was a bug that I had, and I just want to see, okay, for simple bug findings, look at this issue here. Let's see if we can fix this one just very easily. I mean, this is a very simple issue. It's a hydration issue over on BridgeMind UI, and let's just paste this in and let's see what it is able to come up with. Just paste it in. Now, the next thing I want to work on is if we go over to BridgeMind, if you guys, I kind of was showing you guys this example, right? In this video that you guys are seeing here, this was actually made using Remotion. So I've been working on basically understanding better agentic workflows, and I was able to basically give a Claude Code instance Remotion skills and have it create this based off the HTML files that were produced in another project, right? But what I want to do is I think it's probably possible that we're going to be able to create basically a function, and we're going to this is going to be a really difficult task to see if M2.5. I think that Opus would be able to achieve this based off of just my personal experience. But what I want to do is if we go over to BridgeBench, I want to create a new feature where people are able to like click a button and they're able to select which models they want to compare. and it's then going to produce an MP4 video of like a grid layout like this. Do you guys see what I mean? So this was like very complex for me to do in Remotion, and one thing that I noticed is like, if you guys saw it, it's like all like sped up and fast paced. I don't know why. I was doing this last night with Remotion, but it's just not quite right. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like a little bit weird, right? And I don't want to be the only one that can produce these comparisons, because I think it would be a great opportunity for marketing purposes for people to be able to like literally create those comparisons with the click of a button. Nobody else is doing that, right? So I want to do this, and I want to create, you know, a button that I can just click and select like create, compare Opus 4.6 with GLM5, and then click that button, and it's able to create basically a grid layout that's an MP4 video with the HTML provided that has, you know, the BridgeMind logo at the top. That's going to be great for marketing purposes. So I want to see if I'm able to do this with MiniMax M2.5. I think that I would be able to do this with, you know, some of the Frontier models. So to be able to test this with MiniMax, I think is going to be a great opportunity, because it's like, okay, for actual difficult tasks, is this thing going to understand what I'm trying to accomplish, right? Like, let's paste this in, and I'm going to use Bridge Voice to be able to prompt this. This is the official BridgeMind voice to text tool. Also, what you guys are seeing is I'm actually using Bridge Space, which is the ADE. Currently, it's like in beta. We're fixing some performance issues, but that's the ADE that I'm using right now, the agent development environment. But let's give this a prompt real quick. I want you to review this page in the BridgeMind website, and I want you to take particular note of the creative HTML page. I need you to build a new feature where users are able to click a button that says Produce MP4 Comparison. And when they click this button, it should show a drop down of a multi-select menu for the user to be able to select which models they want to compare for that particular HTML test. They should be allowed to select as many models as they want. And there needs to be a utility where they're able to select which models they want to compare, and then click Create MP4. And when they click that button, it's going to produce an MP4 comparison that allows the user to compare the models in a grid layout that is branded BridgeBench with the BridgeMind logo. You can check out this image as reference so that you understand something similar to what I want to produce. Okay, so we're gonna drop this in, and this is the that's what Bridge Voice just outputted. So it's very, if you guys aren't using voice to text tools, if you want to be a serious vibe coder, like I see people that are, you know, doing, you know, whatever, right? And I'm like, why are you not why are you not using voice to text tools yet? Like, if you're not using voice to text tools, that is insane to me. So what I want to do now is hold on here. I'm going to do one thing in Bridge Voice real quick. I'm going to change this. So this is Bridge Voice. Again, I'm going to just I'm going to clear my shortcut real quick here. I'm going to change it to a different shortcut. But I'm going to take a screenshot here. Oh, I need to launch CleanShot X here. All right, so I use CleanShot X for screenshots. It's just a very easy way to do screenshots. But I'm going to now do the screenshot of this grid layout. And so here's what I'm going to drop in, and this is even going to give us a good look of, is it possible? Okay, I think that this model takes in images, correct? I mean, some of these models don't take in images. We're not even going to put it in plan mode. We're just going to check out its one-shot capabilities. So is it able to see, and this one's still working. We'll be able to see this, but it says, I'll explore the BridgeBench page and understand its structure first. And I will say, if it's able to accomplish this in one shot, I'll be very impressed. This is a very difficult task. To be able to compile HTML in the animated way that it is rendering, and compile it into a MP4 video, and to be able to download that. That is, think about it, you're talking about mapping, you're talking about MP4 generation. This is a difficult feature. Now, this one on the right here, this took 5 minutes. You can see this one took 5 minutes to complete. This was using, again, OpenCode Zen. So this was using the free version that's offered via OpenCode. Let's see if it was actually able to fix that hydration issue. Let's just go over to here. Let's launch localhost again, and look at that. It looks like it was not able to fix our hydration issue. We're getting the same exact issue. So I think that a good test for this would be to say, well, it didn't fix it, right? It didn't fix it inside of MiniMax M2.5, right? But if we change the model and we switch the model to a Frontier provider like Opus 4.6, is this going to be able to fix it, right? I need you to, hold on, fix this error. Okay, I need you to fix this error, and this is going to use Claude Opus 4.6, right? So this is going to give us a good idea of, okay, it didn't work with MiniMax M2.5. Well, is this just a really difficult error to solve that's going to be in Opus 4.6? I already saw it. Look how fast it was. That is insane. So Opus 4.6, 20 seconds on Opus 4.6, and you refresh this, no more error. No more error. So this example right here, I think is a good example, okay? And this is my personal experience with some of these Chinese models. If you guys have ever heard the phrase made in China, I think that this applies here. The only thing that I don't understand is this model performs so well on the benchmarks, right? Like you look at the benchmarks, even on the BridgeBench, you're like, okay, it performs so well, right? Well, why are the fish upside down? And even like with this one, right? Like this is another example. The MiniMax M2.5 lava lamp, what's up with it, right? Why is it just a square, right? Why is the lava lamp just a square? And that's why we're creating the BridgeBench, and why I like to run these models through, and why I can tell you guys right now, I am not going to be just an AI influencer that's like MiniMax M2.5, Opus 4.6 performance at a 50th of the cost. It's like, no, like I'm a true vibe coder. Like I know when we have good, I know the difference between a good model and a bad model is my point, okay? And yes, like I think a lot of people you can make the argument that, hey, MiniMax M2.5, it's so cheap, right? It's so inexpensive that for a lot of tasks, if you prompt it really well and you give it exactly what it needs to be able to do the task, it's going to be able to do it for much cheaper than Opus 4.6 would, right? So you have simple tasks or something like that are not going to be prone to hallucination. Sure, give MiniMax M2.5, give it to M2.5, right? You're going to save a ton of money. But the issue is that, like, hey, I spent 5 minutes trying to fix a simple hydration issue. Opus 4.6 fixed it in 20 seconds, right? So, even like with that example right there, we still need to give this one a shot. And one thing I'll note is that the model is slow, okay? The model, like Opus 4.6 would already be coding this implementation, like 100%, I guarantee it. And MiniMax M2.5 is still thinking. So I'm going to just like I'm gonna cut the video here, and I'm gonna let this run because it could run for like 10 minutes. So I just don't want to sit here in the video and like have the video be 40 minutes long while I wait for the response. But I think that this task that's running here on the left is going to give us a really good view into like, okay, how good is this model in real world tasks, right? Because this is a difficult task. Let's see if MiniMax M2.5 is able to do it. And with that being said, I'll just come back once this task is done, and then we'll review its work. All right, guys, so the MiniMax M2.5 model did complete the task, but I want you to take close note. That last clip that you guys just saw was like over 30 minutes ago. It took over 30 minutes for me to produce this from MiniMax M2.5. Now, that could be because it just released yesterday. It's a little bit slower. I mean, you did see from OpenRouter earlier in the video that, it's a slower model, but draw your attention here. So we now have this here, which is what it created. It did center this well because it added in this new option here. So this is a drop down. The styling, I will say, does look good. It followed the theme. But let's now like choose MiniMax M2.5, Gemini 3 Pro, GLN 5, Claude Opus 4.6. And remember, I think that this is an incredibly difficult task. If it's able to complete it in one shot, I'll be impressed. Let's drop this in. It says, hold on here. So it says, MP4 comparison recording captures canvas elements for best results. Wait for animations to fully load. So let's click start recording. And this is interesting. So instead of this is really interesting. So a record, this is an interesting approach that it took. So let's do 15 seconds and then let's see what it creates. Okay, so we're going to do 15 seconds. Stop. Download this. Whoa. All right, so it downloaded a WebM file and it didn't work. It didn't work, chat. It didn't work. All right, so yeah, I mean that is what it is, right? It downloaded a WebM file and it didn't work. So I think that one thing to note is that, okay, it did do a decent job in creating this here, but like I said, this is a difficult task, but it is a task that I do think that Opus 4.6 could have completed in one shot. And it wasn't able to do it, right? So looking at what we have, it's like, okay, like first of all, the model's a little bit slow. That's what we're seeing from these Chinese models. They can be a little bit unreliable and slower, right? Because they don't have the amount of GPUs that some of these other frontier labs have from America, right? So, I will say that not particularly impressed by, number one, the hydration issue that we had, where it was a simple issue that it wasn't able to fix. I'm not impressed by some of the results that we have, like for example with the neon light here. Again, just this is what MiniMax M2.5 produced. So it's like, hey, you guys be the judges of that, right? Oben, no. That is a B. That is not a P. So, I think that you guys can be the judges of this. My personal perspective on this is, yes, it's a very, I don't know what was going on there, but, it's a very cheap model. If we go back to OpenRouter, it's like, hey, at the end of the day, to some extent, you are going to get what you pay for, right? So even though that this model, it appears to be benchmaxed to me, it did perform well in the BridgeBench. So even on my own benchmark, it performed well. Hold on, that's local. So if we go to BridgeMind here, you can go to BridgeMind, go to Community, go to BridgeBench, and here it is. It got a 59.7. So, we're going to have to improve the BridgeBench so that maybe we can add in some type of UI element where it's graded by another LLM, because right now, how this benchmark works is it gives it a set of tasks, and based off of the completion of those tasks, it scores it, right? So we're going to continue to improve the BridgeBench, because what we want to do is we want to weed out models like MiniMax M2.5 that are good on benchmarks. They're good on, let's say leak code tasks, right? But in practice, when you give them, actual assignments like here with our neon sign or our hydration issue, they're not great in a real vibe coding workflow. So that's definitely one thing to note. I'm going to be using this on stream today. I'm going to be live today right after this video finishes premiering. But I'm just not super impressed. I think that from the cost perspective, if you are a budget vibe coder, like this is great, because you obviously are getting a much better addition. If you were a big fan of MiniMax M2.1, you're going to love MiniMax M2.5. But the only issue is it's like, hey, like if you're on the frontier, if you're using Claude models or if you're using GPT models, this is not going to be something that you say, oh, like, what's up with this? And I do want to mention one thing before I end the video, and that is to share with you guys. Out of all the emails that I get from people that are trying to sponsor and partner with BridgeMind, I get more emails, more than anybody, from these Chinese labs. They all want me to use their model. They want me to partner with them. They want to give me free stuff. They want to pay me. And here's what I will say. Does that reveal some aspect of what's happening here? Look at this lava lamp. Is this lava lamp that good? I don't know. I don't know how MiniMax M2.5 scores an 80.2% on the SWE-Bench, and then also it performs very well in the BridgeBench. So, I think we'll have to use it. I'll use it a little bit more on stream so that we get a little bit more of a view of what it looks like in like a very long session, right? Like maybe like an hour or two. But so far, it's like, hey, from the creative HTML tasks, from the tasks that we gave it here with this MP4 download, I mean, can we do it with one? Let's just try it with one. Can we do this? Start recording, stop. Does that do anything? Let's go here. Still nothing. Yeah. So we're going to have to build this in. If you guys are wondering if Claude Opus 4.6 can do this, we are going to test this. We're going to build this feature out today with Claude Opus 4.6, and I'm assuming that it's going to be able to one-shot, maybe even two-shot it. So with that being said, I'll be using this a little bit, but probably not going to be a model that I'm going to be using in my personal vibe coding workflow. I am not going to give it the BridgeMind stamp of approval based off of what we're seeing inside the creative HTML benchmark, as well as some of these actual production tasks. What we're seeing is that this model is benchmaxed. I'm not going to give it the BridgeMind stamp of approval. But with that being said, guys, I will see you guys here on stream in a minute. And if you guys have not already liked, subscribed, or joined the Discord, make sure you do so. And with that being said, I will see you guys in the future.